Part 67. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 662. Lu Shushi's words surprised everyone. They are too familiar with the gray mist, it means something strange and ominous. He is the enemy of the underworld. Now, it actually appears in the six-eared macaque clan? Lu Shushi continued to speak and said. At that time, my descendant Lu Quantong sealed the origin, but it was stolen by Lu Quanmei. After practicing it, he attacked my descendants instead. This is the memory he read from Lu Zhou Sea of all knowledge. Half a year ago, the source of grey mist overflowed from the ancestor of the six-eared macaque clan. Lu Quantong, a direct descendant of Lu Shushi, sealed it, but in the end, it was stolen and practiced by Lu Quanmei. There was great chaos in the clan because of this. When the big black dog heard this, his eyes suddenly became serious and he said, "The origin of grey fog that can be cultivated, this means that there are grey fog creatures corroding the world of the sun. It is a little anxious, because to be able to do this, the grey mist creature must be extremely strong. Or, the heretics that the 10 spirits and 10 lords suppressed back then have returned to a very terrifying state. Or, something from the grey mist world has sneaked in." It remembered the words that its Daokyo had sent back before. Someone behind the giant bronze door beat it several times. "Woof! Come on, we have to go take a look." It spoke immediately. Lu Shushi also nodded. He glanced at Lu Xuanhuan, and with a snap of his fingers, Lu Xuanhuan was destroyed. Aiding the evildoers, your journey is over now. And at this moment, from the ancestral mountain of the six-eared macaque clan, a scream echoed through the sky. Ah! This scream alarmed all the tribes. What happened? This miserable cry, the power contained in it is too strong, it seems to be at the level of a venerable. What happened? While everyone was speculating, a venerable flew from the top of a certain mountain towards the ancestral palace of the six-eared macaque clan, bringing a long line of blood in the air. That's Venerable Lu Xuanhuan of the six-eared macaque clan. What happened? He seems to be seriously injured. The strong men of all races were shocked. The ancestral palace of the six-eared macaque clan. The emperors and venerables of all races were quarreling like crazy. In my opinion, each of our 5 major tribes will occupy 10%, and the rest will be left to other tribes. Haha, it's enough for the other tribes to share 1%, but we, the Demon Peng clan, need at least 2%. 20%? Does it look like you want to take action? Everyone's faces were red, and the chi energy of the venerable and yati level was constantly being released. The opportunity in the small mountain village this time is so great that every cent must be fought for. Lu Quanmei was sitting at the top, watching the quarrels between the various clans calmly, and he couldn't help but reveal a faint sneer. Everyone, there is no need to argue. This time, we, the six-eared macaque clan, will hold the title of the bull's ear. He stood up slowly and said, "My clan gets 90%, and each of your clans, can get 10%. Hearing this, everyone was furious. Lu Quanmei, you have such a big appetite. Are you kidding? 90%. The six-eared macaque clan wants to use its power to provoke the entire demon world." Lu Quanmei's words were too greedy, which immediately aroused public outrage and became the target of public criticism. But Lu Quanmei smiled and said, "I'll give you 10% for the sake of everyone being a demon clan." Before he finished speaking, Pen Glezong stood up in one step, exuding yachty-level pressure and shouted, "Why? Do you want a fight?" Lu Quanmei glanced at him lightly and said, "I'm not looking down on anyone, but everyone here, is not qualified to challenge our clan." Hearing this, Long Aotang, Ao Deatu and other powerful men were also furious and all stood up. They all looked at Lu Quanmei coldly. The atmosphere is tense. However, Lu Quanmi sneered. You guys want to fight me? Suddenly, a trace of gray origin flashed through his eyes. Suddenly, a terrifying energy filled the place. The expressions of many Asian emperors and venerables changed greatly. Because this energy is almost an emperor. You stepped into the imperial realm with 1 foot. Ao Deatu spoke in shock. As a fellow Yati, he knew very well how difficult it was to reach the emperor's path. Imperial way? For me, eternity is the pursuit. Lu Quanmi sneered, her eyes filled with pride. Everyone, the world is about to change. We, the six-eared macaque clan, have been blessed by heaven and will surely dominate the world. The eternal way is coming soon. Convert to our clan, and I will lead you to the true eternal road. Hearing this, Ao Deatu, Pen Glazong and other powerful men all had expressions of shock and uncertainty. At the level of Yati, his words will definitely not be groundless. Lu Quanmi actually dared to say that she touched the eternal way? Could it be that the six-eared macaque clan got some great opportunity? However, at this moment, a loud noise suddenly came from outside the ancestral palace. Bang! It was like something smashed into the ground, and then, there was a miserable wailing sound. Yati, something is going wrong, something is going wrong. This is Lu Xuanhuan's voice. The solemn atmosphere in the field was broken. Lu Quanmi also frowned and immediately walked out of the ancestral palace. Many strong men walked out and were shocked when they saw the scene on the ground. Lu Xuanhu was seen lying on the ground, his face pale, half of his shoulder was gone, and it was dripping with blood. First, what's wrong with you? Lu Quanmi suddenly spoke in anger. Other venerables and Yati also frowned. Lu Xuanhuan is a strong one among the venerables. Judging from the injury, I am afraid that someone at the sub-emperor level took action. Lu Xuanhu was dying, and his eyes were indeed full of panic. He said, "Zhezing soon, he is back. He hurt me." Hearing this, all sub-emperor and venerable level beings suddenly lost their color. Jixing soon. Impossible. Wasn't he suppressed by the Vatican under the Five Elements Mountain? The Vatican is so strong, who can save him? Nonsense. These emperors and venerables are all eager. Because they, also don't want Zhezing soon to return. It's true, he hurt me with just a snap of his fingers. Beside him, there are Lu Kaling, the Bull Demon King, and a big black dog. Lu Xuanhuan continued to speak with difficulty. Lu Quanmi's face was gloomy, and she stepped forward to check Lu Xuanhuan's injuries. It is indeed Lu Shushi's aura. He spoke in a deep voice. Hearing this, many powerful men had ugly expressions. He's back. Is the demon clan going to change its destiny? Pen Glazong looked ugly. In the past, I was waiting for someone who escaped from battle. If he comes back, will he be held accountable? Ao Deatu was also a little frightened. They are all very afraid of the opponent Xing Sun. Because Zhezing Sun was too powerful. At his peak, he suppressed the entire demon clan. For the entire demon clan, having a strong leader is certainly a good thing, but for existences of their level, it is very uncomfortable. Therefore, during the war between demons and gods, they even escaped at the last moment. If Xing Sun comes back to settle accounts, what's there to be afraid of? However, Lu Quanmi suddenly spoke coldly. His eyes were extremely calm and he said, "Times have changed. Whether Lu Shushi or his grandson, I was once arrogant, but now, I am the leader of the six-eared macaque clan. I am the true son of destiny." There seemed to be a ray of grey mist flashing in his eyes. But, he just finished speaking. Above the sky, a disdainful cold shout came. "Just you." Accompanied by this cold shout, a terrifying punch mark had already struck. Lu Shushi has arrived. Facing this fist seal, all Yati and Venerables looked frightened. The psychological shadow left by Venerable Gade Demon Xingsun on them in the past was too profound. However, Lu Quanmei shouted loudly and struck towards the fist mark with her palm. Lu Shushi, things are different now. Your world is no longer yours. He shouted. Boom. There was an explosion in the air. The entire ancestral mountain of the six-eared macaque clan was shaken by a huge earthquake. Then, Lu Quanmei was blown thousands of miles away. Lu Shushi was already standing over the Zushan mountain. He looked at Lu Quanmei with disdain and said, "Only you are worthy. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert." Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 663. As soon as Lu Shushi arrived, he directly punched Lu Quanmei away with an iron fist. At this moment, he stood tall on the ancestral mountain with unparalleled domineering power. All the demon clans were extremely shocked. Xingsun, the supreme demon lord, has he returned? The lord of Dozhan, one of the strongest in our demon world. He fought his way out of the Brahma land. There was a lot of discussion among the people. For a while, some were ecstatic and some were frightened. In front of the ancestral palace, the powerful men such as Pen Glazong and Ao Deatu were even more disappointed. Over the years, Xingsun has become so powerful. Even though they have been suppressed under the Five Elements mountain for thousands of years, their strength is still not comparable to theirs. It's you who colluded with the Vatican and harmed the entire clan. The traitor shall be punished. Lu Shushi stared at Lu Quanmei, with cold murderous intent in his eyes, and said, "Where are my descendants, Lu Quantong and others? Let them go, and I'll keep your whole body." As soon as he said this, the six-eared macaque clan was in an uproar. What? Ancestor Lu Quanmei is a traitor? How can this be? It is true that Grand Ancestor's son said it himself. How can it be false? No wonder, Patriarch Lu Quantong and others suddenly disappeared 6 months ago, and Lu Quanmei took control of the entire clan. The six-eared macaque clan was discussing it heatedly, and all the demon clans were also shocked. However, Lu Quanmei's face was filled with anger. Step by step, he walked back to the ancestral palace. Looking at Lu Shushi, his eyes were filled with hatred. "You're actually not dead." "Yes, I was the one who leaked the news about the clan and told the secret of the monkey stone statue of Brahma ancestor in the past," he admitted directly and said coldly. "But, all of this is from your lineage, and you are solely responsible for it. The monkey stone statue clearly contains great opportunities and has the secret to reach eternity. However, you are stubborn and guard the treasure mountain without using it. It is simply a waste. Just for that empty oath and mission, you are going to drag the whole clan with you to endure the consequences of not being able to break through the divine way. You, Lu Shushi, are the truly selfish one. And I am here to lead the entire clan, lead the demon world, and break through to the divine way. Since you won't give it to me, I have to get it myself." He was unabashed, high-sounding, and spoke righteously, and his reputation shocked the ancestors. When the members of the six-eared macaque tribe heard this, they all made huge waves. What, the great disaster in the clan in the past was actually caused by Lu Quanmei leaking secrets. Traitor, this old beast. Damn it! Damn it, Lu Shushi, the ancestor of our lineage, is thinking about the whole clan. For a time, there was a lot of discussion. Many members of the six-eared macaque clan were cursing angrily. At the same time, people from Lu Quanmei's lineage were protecting Lu Quanmei and attacking Lu Shushi. "You deserve to die. You deserve to die before Ling Shan." Lu Quanmei stared at Lu Shushi and said coldly. "But it doesn't matter, Brahma ancestor didn't kill you, and you won't survive today." Lu Shushi said calmly. "Oh? Really? I just punched you, didn't I wake you up?" When Lu Quanmei heard this, he suddenly transformed into a prototype. He turned into a giant monkey with a height of more than 10 meters, with hair like needles and teeth like blades. He roared. The earth has changed. I am the lord of the underworld. After saying that, a cloud of grey mist suddenly appeared in his hand. The grey mist was like flowing crystal, exuding mysterious power. Just its mere appearance made everyone present feel palpitations and fear. What is that? The grey fog symbolizes the grey fog of the disaster era. Why are they here? Aren't these things suppressed by the legendary 10 gods and spirits? Penglezong, Ao Deatu, and others were shocked. They are all immortal and know more or less about the grey mist era. In that era, disasters were rampant and the world was almost destroyed. It was the legendary Creator Supreme and the 10 spirits who suppressed all disasters. Grey fog, even in various legends, is a taboo. However, now it really appears. Disaster. Xuanhuan looked at the grey mist in her hand and said, "No. This is the key to eternity. The origin of grey mist, the way to immortality." His eyes were extremely fervent, and he suddenly threw away the source of the grey mist in his mouth. In an instant, his body burst out with incomparable terrifying power. His body became semi-petrified, his skin turned into grey stone skin, a strange and ominous aura spread all over his body. Xuanhuan, you turned into a weird creature. Ao Deatu and others were all frightened. As Yati, they couldn't even stand at this moment. They knelt directly on the ground, trembling like lambs waiting to die. As soon as the grey fog comes out, all the gods and Buddhas in the sky will close their eyes. No. This is not the grey mist that destroys everything, but the origin of the grey mist that can be cultivated. Xuanhuan smiled ferociously. At this moment, his chi had broken through the bottleneck of the Yati and became the emperor, even more terrifying than the emperor. He looked at Lu Shushi and said, "I originally wanted to refine it slowly, but you forced me. You forced me to become the strongest person in the world. You forced me to dominate the world at this moment." He smiled ferociously, proudly. "What qualifications do you have to talk to me? Are you an ant who can only stick to the Shinto? Let me tell you, those descendants of yours have been killed by me long ago. What can you do to me? You, too, have to die." As soon as he raised his hand, grey mist instantly rose and swept towards Lu Shushi. Lu Shushi used many magic powers and used all his methods. However, everything was broken before this strange grey fog. No matter how strong he is, he can't be stronger than grey mist. So, he turned around and left, saying, "My benefactor, please bring out the stick." In the direction where he looked, a group of young people and a big black dog suddenly appeared. Among the group of young people, a monk stood out. He felt the fire stick in his hand seemed to be trembling with anger. He threw the fire stick directly. The fire stick seemed to be alive at this moment, and it actually radiated a divine light of its own accord. At this moment, it no longer looks like a fire stick, but turns into a shining golden iron rod, as if it is smelted from thousands of kinds of divine gold in the world. Each chi machine is heavier than 1,000 stones and can crush the entire eternity. This is what a fire stick really looks like. With a bang, the stick fell towards Xuanhuan. "What's this?" Xuanhuan was shocked. He struck wildly and grey mist surged. But when the stick fell, everything was broken, and the grey mist was completely refined by some secret power of the iron stick itself. "Ah!" Xuanhuan let out a shrill scream, and her petrified body collapsed. Boom! The ancestral mountain of the six-eared macaque tribe roared, the entire mountain range had been cut off, smoke and dust stirred up, and a sacred iron rod towering over the sky, like a giant pillar holding up the sky, stood on the beast Mars world. For a moment, the Ya Emperor, the Venerable, and even the endless monster clan in the field were completely silent. Everyone looked at the iron rod, their eyes filled with horror, awe, and fear. Brother Gun is so angry, he's so strong. Behind him, Qing Chen spoke with a complicated expression. Lu Shushi even murmured, saying, "This is the true appearance of the divine weapon. Can only something like grey mist allow it to show its original appearance? How can it be used as a weapon?" He felt unimaginable. At this moment, the big black dog sniffed from the air, suddenly looked at the huge waterfall in front of the water curtain cave in Huiguo Mountain, and said, "Master's cup of tea." It smelled it out. This gushing waterfall should be the cup of tea that had thrown the dust into time and space before, destroying Brahma ancestor's clone. After destroying Brahma patriarch, a supreme waterfall evolved here. Dear benefactors, the top secret place where the monkey stone statue is located is in this waterfall. At this time, Lu Shushi also spoke and said, "This heavenly waterfall is the one that destroyed Brahma patriarch's clone in the past. It is extremely extraordinary and can suppress all deductions in the world. Therefore, I have hidden the top secret place behind the waterfall. Please come with me, my benefactors." He stepped forward and used great magic. Suddenly, the snow-white rapids of the waterfall slowly separated like a barrier. It's like a door to the world has opened. Vaguely, in that world, there was a huge stone standing. That huge stone looks like a divine monkey standing tall on the sky and the earth. Good night. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 664. In front of Shuoliandong, the waterfall opens like a barrier. A mysterious world has been revealed. There seemed to be nothing in that world, except for a huge boulder standing between heaven and earth. My benefactors, please follow me. Lu Shushi spoke. Everyone stepped into that world. The primitive aura of the wilderness suddenly hid his face. The air smelled of death. On the ground, there are all stone corpses. There is some kind of terrifying stone insect with a strange shape, a stone yaksha with 3 heads and 6 arms, and a rock with 8 stone wings. These, are they all weird creatures? It was a surprise to everyone. On this land, there are endless white bones, all of them were grey mist creatures that were suppressed and killed. You need to know that the creatures in the grey fog are very terrifying. In the era of disaster, all 10 spirits perished due to them. However, there are hundreds of grey fog creature corpses in this world. Before the divine monkey died, he actually killed so many beings. Moreover, even if those grey fog creatures died, there would still be some grey fog left behind. Now the world is clean. Not even a ray of grey fog. Monkey, whoa, it's a monkey. The big black dog looked at the boulder in front of him, with some excitement in his eyes. Damn dog, this monkey, seems to be very strong. Wu Dade couldn't help but speak. The big black dog said. Of course, no matter how you say it, he is also the most capable of fighting among the 10 spirits. Wang, I'm wrong, he is second only to me. Everyone. Lu Shushi, on the other hand, had already stepped forward step by step. He looked at the stone statue of the monkey in front of him, his face filled with emotion. Monkey God, all the words you left have come true. The yellow smoke rises, and the beacon fire calms down, the reincarnation comes out, and the ghosts wander in the sky. It's time for you to return and conquer the heavens. He knelt in front of the stone statue of the monkey, his eyes filled with excitement and anticipation. The 6-eared macaque clan has protected them for eternity and paid a heavy price in blood, and finally arrived in this life. Lu Ling also followed him, kneeling in front of the stone statue of the divine monkey. Senior Li once said that a stone monkey jumped out of a huge rock on Huiguo Mountain. It should be today. Lu Ling murmured piously. and Nanfan and others also arrived in front of the stone statue of the monkey. Qing Chen stepped forward, with clear eyes, and murmured, "Transparent monkey." At this moment, his God King domain was released involuntarily and automatically. The realm of the God King is vast and boundless, and within it, there are Sanskrit sounds resounding, as if time and space are evolving. History is affected, years are turning, and cause and effect are coming. Everyone feels something. At this moment, they seem to see a divine monkey dominating the world in time and space, shining with golden light, standing high in the sky, holding an iron rod in his hand, looking down upon the heavens. Immediately afterwards, there is another screen. It was a chaotic world, with grey fog pressing across the sky, white fog rolling and mixing, living beings crying for blood, and strong men falling. It seemed like a catastrophe that would destroy the world. A monk who has reached the extreme of renunciation is practicing under the hazy and sacred Bodhi tree, while the divine monkey is waiting beside him. After a long time, the monk opened his eyes and seemed to look to the end of the heavens, saying, "It's time for me to hit the road." He got up. The sacred monkey holds an iron rod in his hand and follows closely. "You stay." The monk spoke softly and said, "Years ago, that man went on the road to quell the chaos, and never came back. Today, the grey mist is causing harm to the world, and the fires of the chaos ancestral realm are extinguished one after another. No one knows whether the chaos ancestral realm can be preserved, or whether the white mist era will end in this life. We must keep the fire alive, otherwise, the one will be lost. The iron rod in your hand is left by that person. You must take the iron rod to open up a pure land, protect the fire, and leave a way back for that person." Hearing this, the monkey god held the iron rod tightly and said, "Those who take that road will eventually become strange and ominous. No one can come back." "Can that person come back?" The monk said word for word with great determination. "He must be able to do it. It's time for me to hit the road." The monk left, and the hazy sacred Bodhi tree turned into a Zen staff and fell into his hands. He stepped on the cloud waves and walked away. Then, the scene changed. Battle in the underworld. In the era of disaster, grey fog destroys the world. Grey fog creatures and heretics continue to appear, killing the heavens and destroying everything. A divine monkey, fighting against the sky and the earth, arrogantly arrogant at the enemy. His iron rod went everywhere, knocking down one grey mist creature after another. The iron rod in its hand is very terrifying. The golden light flashes, overwhelming the tower and the sky, and even the creatures in the grey mist dare not respond to its sharpness. "Have fun, have fun. You grey mist bastards, just give me some more." The divine monkey laughed wildly, took the initiative to charge, and was invincible. However, when it was invincible, it suddenly turned its head and looked at somewhere in time and space. In its fiery golden eyes, it saw phantoms one after another. It was in an unknown time and space where a monk's white clothes were stained with blood. He was killed, and fell into a burial pit. The Bodhi tree burst and Bodhi seeds were scattered in the sky. No. The monkey's eyes were about to burst, and he suddenly raised his hand, throwing the iron rod in his hand into the universe. He wants to use the iron rod left by that person to hit that piece of time and space to save the monk. Without the terrifying iron rod, the surrounding grey mist creatures came back with a vengeance. "Grey mist, let you have a taste of my iron fist." The divine monkey smashed its fists at many grey mist creatures, its divine power undiminished. However, without the terrifying iron rod, the battle suddenly became difficult. Its power is astonishing, its fists break through the sky, its holy blood boils in battle, it moves between the grey mist and closes in strange situations. A generation of magical monkeys who can defeat all enemies with their bare hands. There were piles of bones at his feet, and blood stains all over his body. However, at this moment, there is a decree that splits the sky and brings endless grey mist, falling towards the divine monkey. That decree seemed to come from some terrifying grey mist world. The divine monkey's astonishing fighting power alarmed the taboo existence in the grey fog world. The divine monkey burned the sacred blood, turned into a torrent of flames, and rushed towards the decree. The decree with thick grey mist was actually ignited. However, the monkey god also fell from the sky. It has also reached the end of its life. Suppressing the enemies with fists, burning forbidden grey mist decrees with blood, already reached the limit. A great disaster has begun. Can that person really come back? Before dying, the divine monkey murmured. It suddenly used its last strength to ignite its golden eyes and look at the downstream of the years. When the yellow smoke rises, the beacon fire calms down. When reincarnation comes out, ghosts appear in the sky. I will return and conquer the heavens, ha ha ha, ha 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 ha. I don't know what he saw, but the monkey laughed loudly, and his laughter was obviously very joyful. Randomly, it closed its eyes and turned into a stone statue. Thick and strange grey fog submerged it. The picture ends here. Everyone was silent when they saw this. How brutal was that battle? The 10 spirits fell, and the previous lives of Qing Chen and others fell in an unknown place. The grey fog is like a thick lead cloud, covering that piece of ancient history. And that person has become everyone's faith and hope. Qing Chen walked towards the boulder in front of him step by step. Although they were thousands of years apart, they felt something in their hearts. This huge stone aroused the most natural and closest emotions in his heart. He looked at the boulder and murmured softly. Return, fight the heavens again. He was calling, reaching out, wanting to touch the boulder. Be careful, the sacred monkey died in the past and was also infected with a strange grey mist. At this time, Nanfan reminded him. The big black dog kept a close watch on him, just in case something unexpected happened. Suddenly, King Chen's hand landed on the boulder, but not even a trace of strange grey fog appeared. It's as if there is nothing at all. No. I just saw that the monkey god was obviously contaminated before he died. How could it be? Everyone is confused. As for the big black dog, he didn't know what he thought of, and his eyes became extremely solemn. With my blood, I call you back. Qing Chen yelled. In his hands, blood flowed and poured on the stone statue. Blood seeped into the stone statue. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 665. And at this moment, inside the boulder, there is a dark void, hidden in it. In this void, there is nothing else but a golden little monkey sleeping. There was thick grey fog surrounding this golden little monkey. But at this moment, the grey fog is gradually disappearing. In this space, at some point, an old figure appeared. The skin all over his body was covered with grey stone skin, and his eye sockets were filled with grey mist. With his old hands waving, he actually took the grey mist that filled this space into his mouth and swallowed it all. He is like an old ghost, feeding on grey mist. Since I crossed the giant bronze gate and entered this small world, I haven't found anything to eat for a long time. I'm starving to death. Not long after, all the grey fog in this space had been absorbed by the grey old man. He does not exist in the earthly world. After the grey mist old man swallowed up all the grey mist, he stared at the sleeping golden monkey in this space, with a hint of greed in his eyes. The Taoist embryo left behind by the strong men of the pre-white mist era. The real treasure, eating you will be of great benefit to me. The old man approached the little golden monkey step by step. His old hands stretched out as if to catch the little monkey. But, the next moment, there seemed to be thin wisps of white mist emerging around the golden monkey. Suddenly, the old man's hands began to tremble, and the thick grey mist in his eyes seemed to fade a little, as he was struggling. No. I can't alienate, I was once a creature of the white mist. If I choose to take the path of the grey mist, I can't lose my mind. The old man's face suddenly twisted in pain. The era of white fog will eventually come to an end, and all creatures in the white fog will perish. Only the gray fog is their destination. This Taoist fetus has fallen into the underworld, cut off its vitality, and turned into a stillborn fetus. Eating it is nothing. It can also temporarily suppress the ominousness and weirdness in my body. He murmured, reaching out his hand again. But then he said again, no. If I feed on white mist creatures, I will truly and completely become a gray mist creature, no. At this moment, the old man knelt on the ground in pain, trembling all over. The gray mist surged in his body, his desires were swelling, and an ominous and strange aura emanated from his body, making the last trace of clarity in his eyes seem to disappear. I have obviously found someone in the divine realm who can temporarily suppress the weirdness of my main body. The cause and effect on her body can obviously suppress my main body. Why, I am still losing myself. His whole body was about to twitch. However, right now. Suddenly, a trace of blood entered the space. Seeing the blood, the old man suddenly became excited. He suddenly stepped forward and drank all the blood greedily. For a moment, the gray mist surging in his body actually calmed down. The old man gradually regained his consciousness. I almost became a slave to the gray mist. The old man suddenly became frightened when he thought of what he had just done. The origin of the gray mist is too terrifying, cannot be controlled at all. He murmured, suddenly remembered something, his expression suddenly changed, and he said, no, when I was swallowing the gray mist here, I fell into confusion. It seems that, the origin of the gray mist has been transmitted to the outside once. He was actually a little frightened. As a creature of the white mist that chooses to take the path of gray mist, he must constantly swallow the gray mist to keep himself alive. However, the origin of the gray mist will change him, turning him into a slave of the gray mist and completely alienating him. Moreover, the origin of gray mist has a natural tendency to destroy everything and will spread outwards on its own initiative. Anyone who obtains the origin of gray mist and cultivates it, they will all become slaves of gray mist. The main body suppressed itself in the divine realm and sent hundreds of clones to look for the gray mist to survive. I was lost, which means that other clones must also be lost. I'm afraid the origin of the gray mist has appeared in this small world. I will destroy this world. There was some fear on his face. Because, he has not completely lost his conscience and reason, and still retains the awareness of beings in the white mist. At this moment, he discovered that in this hidden void, there seemed to be strands of blood flowing in. This blood, who does this blood come from? The old man was surprised and said, just now, I got some of this blood, which suppressed the gray fog in my body. To be able to suppress the gray mist, this blood must come from the Supreme Being. He flicked his fingers, and a drop of blood fell into his hand. He lowered his head and looked carefully, and suddenly realized it. No, this blood does not come from a supreme figure. It can suppress gray mist because it contains the rich essence of white mist. There was even more surprise in his eyes and he said, since the beginning of the post-white mist era, it is almost impossible to find this level of white mist essence in the chaos ancestral realm. This small world should have been created in the pre-white mist era, and there is still some pure white mist left. It must be so, the watchdog behind the giant bronze door is already extraordinary. This world must hide the real secret. Maybe there is a way to embark on the road to white mist. For a moment, he seemed a little excited. You must know that the chaos ancestral realm once experienced a terrifying gray fog catastrophe. That catastrophe destroyed everything in the original chaos ancestral realm, and the white mist era almost ended. In ancient legends, there is a woman with amazing talent and beauty who single-handedly suppressed all chaos, fought back the gray fog, and started the post-white fog era. However, there has been a huge gap between the post-White Mist era and the pre-White Mist era, and the White Mist in the Chaos Ancestral Realm is far less dense than the pre-White Mist era. It is getting more and more difficult to get on the road. Many White Mist creatures even have to choose the path of Grey Mist. In this case, the treasures, opportunities, etc. left over from the pre-White Mist era are particularly precious. There are great secrets in this world. He murmured and raised his eyes to look at the blood in the void, only to see a lot of blood gathering towards the little golden monkey. Submerged into the body of the golden monkey. Suddenly, the little golden monkey seemed to make a faint heartbeat. However, in an instant, some kind of terrifying secret power circulated, killing the heartbeat, and the taboo aura filled this small space. The old man was shocked. This divine monkey was suppressed and killed by the supreme taboo existence in the Grey Mist world. The action of that kind of existence lasts through the ages. It can be called an eternal force. This blood with the essence of White Mist can't save it. And at this moment, beyond the boulder, King Chen's blood dripped on the boulder and seeped into the stone statue. But there was no movement at all. "Dead dog, what's going on?" Wu Date asked the big black dog. The big black dog looked at the stone statue with extremely solemn eyes and said, "Before the monkey died, he was killed by the supreme decree in the Grey Fog world. There was a great terror in the world. I'm afraid it wouldn't be possible to rely on blood alone. So what should I do now?" The big black dog muttered. "That kind of forbidden existence is the most powerful person in the Grey Mist world, so it must have been on its way. I have no experience of facing it head on." It tilted its head and thought for a while, then suddenly said, "Would you try to write the word fan with blood? Remember to think of the master when writing." Hearing this, everyone was startled. Is this reliable? Qing Chen, however, did not hesitate. He closed his eyes and meditated in his mind. He was meditating on Li Fan's voice and smile, and on Li Fan's words and deeds. He thought of his master sitting calmly under the peach tree, drinking tea and reading leisurely. I thought of master's transcendence and leisurely cultivation of the land. I think of the master's detachment in always transforming the great principles and supreme scriptures into the trivial matters of daily life. At this moment, his blood-stained fingers wrote a word of blood on the stone statue stroke by stroke. Fan. As soon as this word came out, the entire boulder suddenly started to tremble. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 666. King Chen's blood-stained fingers had already written the word mortal on the boulder. The previously motionless boulder suddenly started to tremble. Inside the boulder, in a small space, able to make the supreme being in the world of Grey Mist take action, this divine monkey was probably an extraordinary figure during his lifetime. Even, maybe a giant from the pre-White Mist era. In the pre-White Mist era, too many things were buried. He spoke in a low voice, and there seemed to be some emotion in his words. This sacred monkey Taoist body must be preceded by a strong man on the road. It's a pity that it is now shrouded in forbidden cause and effect, and even I can't get close to it. The old man was very sorry. However, the next moment, he suddenly turned around in horror. I saw a bloody word appearing vaguely in this small space. As soon as that bloody word appeared, it immediately emitted billions of unimaginable power. No. The grey fog old man felt a kind of heartfelt fear. The grey mist in his body seemed to have a soul, curling up and trembling. And that bloody word illuminated the entire space. The blood energy fell on the golden monkey. The little golden monkey's heartbeat suddenly sounded. At the same time, the secret power left by the supreme being in the grey fog world circulated, and an invisible grey fog decree seemed to be formed in the air to suppress the divine monkey. But, the bloody zigzag fell. Immediately, the invisible grey fog decree disappeared into thin air. All the weirdness and cause and effect are eliminated by this word. At this moment, the golden divine monkey Taufita suddenly opened its eyes. The heart of the divine monkey Daofei beat violently and powerfully. He stood up, stretched his body, and suddenly let out a cheerful monkey cry. Boom! At this moment, this space was directly destroyed, and the entire boulder exploded. Outside world. Nanfan and others were all staring at the stone statue. The words were written in blood, and the stone statues trembled. The next moment, suddenly the entire stone statue exploded. Everyone was suddenly startled, and when they looked around, they saw a golden little monkey jumping out of the stone statue. The little golden monkey leaped thousands of meters in the air, did a somersault, and then fell down, standing in the middle of the field. The light shines brightly and is divine. This is a rare animal. It really jumped out of the stone. The word fan really works. Everyone was pleasantly surprised. Qing Chen stepped forward even more excitedly, looked at the little golden monkey, and said, "You are finally back." The little golden monkey appeared in this world. He was still a little confused at the moment. When he saw Qing Chen, he suddenly stopped. It felt that this handsome monk was so familiar and so close. It scratched its head and ears, as if trying to remember something. However, in this new life, it has already forgotten everything and cannot remember. Since it couldn't remember, it simply gave up. It jumped up and landed in front of Qing Chen, squeaking and rubbing its head against Qing Chen. Qing Chen picked up the little monkey, his eyes seemed to be moist. "Just come back. In this life, you and I will fight again." Qing Chen spoke firmly. However, at this moment, the big black dog suddenly felt something. It looked in a certain direction and saw a strange gray old man there. The big black dog suddenly became furious. Woof, woof woof woof. It barked at the strange old man, and there was hatred in the dog's eyes. The strange old man was also stunned for a moment. He hadn't recovered from the terrifying word fan just now. He heard the dog barking and looked over. "Eh? How come you and the dog behind the giant bronze door are exactly the same?" The strange old man was surprised, but then he suddenly realized and said, "What's behind the giant bronze door, is your Dao fruit." When the big black dog heard this, he became even more angry and said, "Wow, little monk, hurry up, give him a stick, and I will kill him." At this moment, everyone noticed this strange old man. Weird spirit. Gray mist creatures. He is actually hiding in the stone statue. Everyone was surprised. King Chen's face was even colder, and a fire stick appeared in his hand. He grasped the fire stick tightly and was about to take action. The strange old man sensed something and looked at the fire stick in King Chen's hand in horror. He suddenly became anxious and said, "Didn't I just beat you Daokyo a few times behind the giant bronze door? Is it necessary to use this kind of thing? We are all creatures of the white mist. If you have something to say, please say it." "It's not necessary. It's really not necessary." As soon as he opened his mouth, Nanfeng, Ziyiling, Zhongli, and others were all surprised. This gray mist creature can still communicate. Can it communicate? Moreover, claiming to be a creature of white mist. This is the first time they have encountered this situation. "Damn dog, what's going on?" Wu Date asked. Qing Chen also temporarily stopped and looked at the other party coldly. The big black dog said, "Although he is not a complete gray mist creature yet, he is not far away. Wang, if you choose this path, your path will come to an end. It has murderous intent in its eyes." The strange old man was anxious and said, "The post-white mist era is different from the pre-white mist era. Have you ever heard of a woman known as the End of 10,000 Paths?" Hearing this, the big black dog was immediately startled. He glanced at Yungzi subconsciously, but saw that Yungzi did not change at all. It seemed that he was not affected by what the strange old man said. Then it said in a deep voice, "Of course I know." The strange old man continued. According to legend, the woman known as the End of 10,000 Paths single-handedly suppressed the catastrophe of the pre-White Mist era and ushered in the post-White Mist era. Moreover, she also walked on the Grey Mist Avenue herself, giving the world more choices. In the Chaos Ancestral Realm, the Grey Mist Avenue is no longer a forbidden land that cannot be entered. The big black dog was even more horrified and said in disbelief, "What did you say? You said that the Empress started the post-White Mist era and walked into the Grey Mist Avenue by herself." Its words were actually very urgent. The strange old man nodded and said, "The pre-White Mist era has ended long ago, and now is the post-White Mist era. If you don't believe me, come here and I'll show you my origin." After saying that, a ball of origin appeared in its hand, which seemed to be intertwined with white mist and grey mist. Seeing this, the big black dog's eyes were filled with uncertainty. It walked over and growled, "Grey mist? No, it's impossible. How could she take the Grey Mist Avenue? This is impossible." At this moment, it actually became a little distracted and said, "She is so amazing and talented. She once stood side by side with her master in the White Mist era, she even suppressed the catastrophe in the White Mist era. How could she choose to walk on the Grey Mist Avenue? This is impossible." It seems extremely unwilling to believe it. However, at this moment when it lost consciousness, the strange old man suddenly put away his origin, and then kicked the big black dog hard. The big black dog was kicked away directly. Then, the figure of the strange old man suddenly disappeared from the scene. "You bitch, you bit my ass behind the giant bronze door and bit off one of my balls. Don't let me see you. I'll beat you every time I see you." The strange old man's voice full of resentment echoed in the field. "He has escaped." The big black dog got up from the ground, his hair was all blown up at this moment, completely hairy. Ouch! This emperor has never suffered such a shameful humiliation, never. Woof woof, woof 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 woof. Woof 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 woof. Woof 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 woof. It roared wildly, making the whole world tremble. "Let me see where you can escape. One day, I will bite you to death." The crazy and angry voice of the big black dog resounded through the sky. And at this moment, outside the ancestral land of the six-eared macaque clan, the fight should be over. I don't know if the 10 demon clans can kill the big black dog. A middle-aged man approached furtively. Surprisingly, it was Xuanhuan. He was filled with worry. "I hope the top 10 monster clans can win. If they lose, it's best not to confess themselves." If Xiao Shankan knew that he was the one who was causing harm to Xiao Shankan behind his back, then he would probably be doomed. Suddenly, he heard a dog barking with overwhelming rage. "Let me see where you can escape. One day, I will bite you to death." A roar almost burst Xuanhuan's eardrums. Xuanhuan was immediately dumbfounded. "Damn, what kind of big black dog is this voice? It's not dead?" Suddenly, he was excited. It's over, it must have been after the top 10 demon clans lost the battle that they confessed themselves. Therefore, when the big black dog knew that he had escaped, he would get angry and say that one day he would bite him to death. Something bad happened, something bad happened. It's over. I, Lao Ao, have let this dog worry about me. Xuanhuan's legs were weak. He turned around without hesitation and ran away like crazy. Directly escaping from the beast Mars realm, he took out the venerable sword given by Godensi and others before and escaped through the void. I, Lao Ao, will never let that small mountain village find me again in this life. Lucaling, little monkey, I'm sorry, I will come back to save you when I reach the level of the God Emperor. He ran away without hesitation. 3 updates in a row for several days, so tiring. Two updates will be resumed starting tomorrow. Good night. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 667. Beast Mars Realm. The angry roar of the big black dog spread throughout the world, and all the demon clans trembled. After a long time, calm was restored. Long Xuanhuan, Zhang Li, and others all had complicated expressions and didn't know what to say. This is unprecedented. This is the first time I have seen Dehe suffer a loss. Lin Zhuzhan couldn't help but speak. Lu Rang was confused and said, "It bit off all the eggs. You call this a loss?" When everyone heard it, it seemed right. Although Dehe was beaten several times, in comparison, the weird old man was still worse. "Ha ha ha, you're laughing me to death, you're laughing me to death, damn dog, you are here too. If you bite someone's balls, they won't be able to kill you." Wu Dade couldn't help but smile. Seeing the big black dog deflated, he was inexplicably happy. However, he couldn't be happy for more than a second, as his butt suddenly hurt. "Dehe has already spoken." "Ah!" Wu Dade screamed and said. "So hard, brother dog, I was wrong, I was wrong." Everyone couldn't help laughing when they saw this. After a long time, everyone walked out of the secret realm of the waterfall. Qing Chen hugged the little golden monkey, and behind him Wu Dade was limping, covering his buttocks with his hands, his face full of resentment, looking at the big black dog angrily, muttering to himself. "Damn dog, if someone bullies you, come and bite fatty, just wait for me." The big black dog looked back at him coldly. Wu Dade suddenly became excited and said hurriedly, "Great Black Emperor, calm down, Black Emperor, calm down." The big black dog then turned his head. "Dehe, what is the origin of that heretic just now?" At this time, Nanfan asked. "Although that strange old man is different from the heretics and strange spirits we encountered before, he must not be taken lightly. Especially, the opponent's strength is very terrifying, and he can beat Dehe several times. It's definitely not easy." The big black dog said. "That old guy should have been found from the ancestor realm of chaos. He was originally a creature of the white mist, but in the end he took the path of the grey mist." Everyone was confused after hearing this. Chaos ancestral realm. What is that? The road of grey fog? Doesn't the grey fog represent strangeness and ominousness? Why would the creatures of the white fog choose this road? They asked questions one after another. The big black dog said, "Forget it, there are some things that you all have to know sooner or later, so it doesn't hurt to tell you." It thought for a while and said, "Now, you all know that the Yangjian is a pure land created by 10 gods, 10 spirits, and 10 medicines in the past. And the reason why this pure land was created is precisely because in that time and space, the great disaster came, the ancestral realm of chaos was in danger, and the era of white mist was about to end. It was a desperate catastrophe. The chaos ancestral realm could not hold on, so it could only escape. Escape to create this pure land, guard a bright light, and leave a way back." It let out a long sigh and said, "That battle was too brutal. The beings in the grey mist seemed to have gone crazy, eager to kill all the fires in the chaos ancestral realm. All the masters show up, and the strong ones are endless, that's why you died so completely." Hearing this, everyone was stunned. There was such a hidden secret in the creation of the world in the past. In a sense, it was like running away. The ancestral world was in trouble and the era ended. I had to take the fire with me to escape the disaster and create a pure land to preserve it. I just didn't expect, she stayed alone in the chaos ancestral realm, and actually suppressed the catastrophe in the Chaos Ancestral Realm, and started the post-White Mist era. It's too powerful. The big black dog murmured, and glanced at Yoon 11 subconsciously, but he saw that Yoon 11 was just listening to the story, enjoying it, but didn't realize it. What the current Chaos Ancestral Realm is like, I don't know. The big black dog then spoke and said. But this old turtle grandson just now, he should have just started on the road. Wow, if this emperor hadn't had 3 points of Daokyo back then, leaving the weakest one to guard the gate, this old turtle grandson, I would have killed him with one paw. It is indignant. On the road. Everyone was even more confused. The big black dog said. A state that has reached this level can be regarded as a Dao ancestor level figure in the Chaos Ancestral Realm. However, to this emperor, he is still an ant. Hearing this, everyone's eyes were a little suspicious. Wow! Everything this emperor said is true. The big black dog is anxious. Zhongli looked complicated and said, "Hey, we believe you, really." The big gangster said, "You make a written statement and swear an oath." Zhongli. Shortly after, they walked out of the secret realm and appeared on the ancestral mountain of the six-eared macaque clan. At this moment, countless demon clans were kneeling on the ground, not daring to get up. Ao Deatu, Pen Glazong and other yati and venerables all looked frightened and did not dare to move. The energy that appeared in the secret realm just now was too terrifying, especially the barking of dogs, which completely shocked their souls. The ordinary monsters became even weaker and fell to the ground. The greetings come from the demon leader Xingsun. The greetings come from the demon leader Xingsun. Seeing Lu Shushi and others walking out, many powerful men suddenly shouted. Zhe Xingsun was the leader of the demon clan in the past. Ao Deatu, Pen Glazong, and others were all anxious and uneasy. In the past, they had escaped from the battle, but now that Xingsun has returned, they might settle the score. Welcome back to the clan leader. Welcome back to the clan leader. The members of the six-eared macaque clan even shouted excitedly. Lu Shushi glanced at the many demon clans in the field, and his eyes fell on a venerable member of the six-eared macaque clan. That venerable person's name is Lu Xianju, and he is the only venerable person in the six-eared macaque clan today. He is Lu Xianduan's eldest brother and a member of Lu Quanmiai's lineage. At this moment, Lu Xianju looked horrified and said, "Clan leader, Lu Quanmiai has committed rebellion. He deserves to be killed. He has nothing to do with us at all. We have been deceived by him before, clan leader." He was trembling, and many other demon kings who were originally from Lu Quanmiai's lineage also begged for mercy. However, Lu Shushi just said coldly, "Where are my descendants, Lu Quantong and others?" Lu Xianju said hurriedly, "Report to the patriarch, they are all in the dungeon. Come on, let venerable Lu Quantong and the others out." Not long after, a dozen strong men from the six-eared macaque tribe appeared on the scene with miserable expressions. The first few people are surprisingly the descendants of Lu Shushi, Lu Quantong, Lu Xiuoshun, Lu Xiuoquan, etc. Clan leader. Clan leader, you are back, great, great. Seeing Lu Shushi, they were all extremely excited. Quantong is guilty. He failed to protect the six-eared macaque clan and allowed Lu Quanmiai to steal the origin of the grey mist, which brought great disaster to the entire world. Please punish the clan leader. Lu Quantong even knelt down with tears in his eyes. Get up, you have no sin and no need to kneel. Lu Shushi spoke and raised his hand. Lu Quantong and others all stood up. Lu Shushi's eyes flashed, but he saw that his descendants were actually broken in origin and completely useless. Clan leader, we have all become useless people. Lu Quantong smiled miserably and said, "However, if I can see the patriarch regain his freedom, even if I die, I will have no regrets in this life." At this time, Lu Ling stepped forward and said, "No. You will not die or be crippled. She took out a few plums, handed them over and said, Senior Xuanhuan, please take it quickly. This thing will definitely be able to repair your origins. Surprisingly, it was the plum she got in the small mountain village. Feeling the majestic sacred aura contained in the plum, everyone was shocked for a moment. This is the supreme treasure. Lu Xuanhuan and others were shocked and said, No, princess, we can't bear it, we can't bear it. Here you go, just take it. Qing Chen couldn't help but speak, and he sympathized with Lu Xuanhuan and others. The guardian monkey stone statue, they also have great achievements. Hearing this, Lu Xuanhuan had no choice but to accept it, but he only took one and refused to accept the others, saying, Clan leader, princess, one piece of these precious treasures is enough for us people to benefit all sentient beings. Immediately, he divided the pulp of a plum into more than 10 parts, and Lu Xuanhuan, Lu Xuanhuan, and others all got their portions. Everyone took it seriously. Suddenly, boom! There was a roar all over their bodies. At this moment, the extremely rich sacred aura lingered, improving and repairing their origins. For a time, their breath was rapidly recovering. Demon Lord, Demon King. In the end, this group of people directly entered the realm of enlightenment. Because, the pulp contains not only the vast energy of the original source, but also rich Tao principles, which can make people directly realize the Tao. Lu Xuanhuan's cultivation has returned to the realm of the venerable, and it is actually still growing at this moment. He touched the threshold of Yati. Finally, he stepped into the realm of Yati. Seeing this, everyone's eyes were straightened. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 668. Just a small piece of pulp. He actually allowed Lu Xuanhuan, whose origin was broken and wasted, to recover his cultivation. Even, go one step further. Who can not be surprised? Immediately afterwards, Lu Xuanhuan and others' auras also soared. Not only did they restore their Demon King level cultivation, they were about to become venerable. In fact, the closer you get to their level, the more important it is to understand the Tao level. The Tao contained in plum pulp is completely enough to lead them to a higher realm, but they cannot fully absorb it in a short period of time and need time to digest it. In less than a month, I can become Yati. Lu Xuanhuan spoke in shock. Sir, within half a month, I will be able to open your door. Me too. Lu Xuanhuan and Lu Xuanhuan were also extremely surprised. Next to them, Ao Dayatu, Pen Glazong and others were even more jealous. Those magical fruits must come from the small mountain village that Ao Wushuan mentioned before. The principles and energy contained are too terrifying. If they can get it, they can live a second life and maybe get a glimpse of the Emperor's way. Jealous. Clan leader, princess, but, can you give us a little bit? Just a trace of pulp is enough. At this time, Lu Xianju spoke with salivation. He couldn't help it, it was a great opportunity. However, Lu Shushi waved his hand. Lu Xianju and others let out a shrill scream, and their origins were completely destroyed, turning them into true cripples. This is punishment. Seeing this, Lu Xuanhuan and others were even more happy. They were lucky that they had not gone astray. Thank you, Patriarch, thank you Princess. They stood up immediately and saluted gratefully. It's your benefactors who you should thank. Lu Ling looked at Qing Chen and others and said. If it hadn't been for your benefactors' intervention, my clan would have been overthrown. Lu Xuanhuan and others also saluted respectfully towards Qing Chen and others. No need to be polite, it's time for us to leave. At this time, Nanfan spoke and said, it's time to go back. Everyone nodded. My dear benefactors, can we follow you? Lu Shushi spoke, he looked at the golden monkey in King Chen's arms and said. The six-eared macaque tribe's destiny in this life, is to follow and protect the divine monkey. Hearing this, Qing Chen looked at Nanfan and said, "Senior sister, what do you think?" Nanfan thought for a while and said, "Yes, Senior Lu Shushi and others can go to the Great Ruins realm with us. Although they cannot be taken to the village, they can be allowed to stay with the Muling dynasty, Yun family, etc." Hearing this, Lu Shushi and Lu Ling were both very happy. Everyone was ready to set off immediately. Wait a moment. At this time, Lu Rang looked at the many monsters in the field and said, "Sisters and brothers, they all want to go to our village. How can we live up to their enthusiasm?" Hearing this, everyone reacted. "Yeah, I almost forgot. So much, we must take it back to the village." Everyone looked at Ao Deatu, Long Aotang, and others, their eyes shining. For a moment, Ao Deatu, Long Aotang, and others were stunned, but then they were overjoyed. You want to take us to that small mountain village? Really?" They couldn't believe it. There were opportunities everywhere in that small mountain village. This is a great thing, pie in the sky. Soon. The ancestral mountain of the six-eared macaque tribe was like a zoo at this moment. Yadi, Demon Lord, etc. have all transformed into prototypes, and their minds have all been chopped off. Became the most primitive birds and beasts. A roc with pale golden wings, a large loach more than 10 meters long, a large herring weighing dozens of kilograms. "Bring the warship over, load it, load it." Wu Date rubbed his hands while watching, his eyes shining. Immediately, the six-eared macaque clan's largest venerable class warships came over. Lu Quantong and others stepped forward in fear and grabbed those animals into the warship. "Yadi, venerable, the entire demon clan has been wiped out in one fell swoop." Lu Quantong sighed. "I seem to have heard from my benefactors that these are ingredients." Lu Xuanhuan was a little uneasy. These were all Yadi and venerables, and the weakest ones were all demon kings. Fortunately, we have not forgotten the teachings of our ancestors, and the road has become wider. Otherwise, I am afraid we will become a dish. The road is wide, and I spoke with trepidation. The two of them were muttering and discussing, while Lu Rang was waiting and had already begun to give instructions. "These are all top-quality ingredients, catch them alive, don't kill them. Master said that God is good at reviving people, so he has to catch them alive. Especially fish, don't suffocate it to death, otherwise Cat Sister won't eat it." Hearing this, Lu Xuoquan and Lu Xuoshan were even more confused. Soon, all the animals had been loaded onto the ship. All the members of the six-eared macaque clan also boarded the boat. This time, the six-eared macaque clan moved away. "Go back to the village and have a feast." And at this moment, holy area. Since the imperial court disappeared, of the 33rd heaven, only the 32nd heaven was left. People are in panic for a month. No one knows what happened in the imperial court. God King level figures from all over the world searched high and low, but could not find the imperial court at all. All kinds of rumors arose. The disappearance of the imperial court must mean that a great disaster is coming. I am afraid that the entire world of the underworld will be destroyed. It's alarmist. The existences in the imperial court are all invincible. What kind of catastrophe can destroy them silently? If the imperial court does not appear for a long time, the divine realm may be in chaos. The disappearance of the imperial court plunged the divine realm into some strange commotion. God's domain, a certain continent, in a magnificent palace. This place is the ancestral palace of the royal family, a giant clan in the divine domain. Ancestor, is that gray origin really useful? Several God King level beings are waiting respectfully and nervously. At the top of the hall, an old man with thinning hair, who looked like a living dead, had a sneer in his eyes. He is a top level figure in the Wang family, a respected person who should have died, Wang Jiyun. A month ago, somewhere in the Jishan continent under the command of the Wang family, the source of a gray mist actually appeared. Everyone in the Wang family was shocked. Even Wang Jiyun, who was in retreat, walked out. At the origin of the gray mist, the Wang family also discovered an ancient battlefield with many stone corpses left behind. The Wang family guessed that it should be a battlefield left by disaster. The dead should be the legendary disaster creatures. Perhaps, the Wang family should have sealed the origin of the gray mist and the disaster battlefield. But in the end, however, the Wang family brought back the origin of the gray mist and silenced everyone else who knew the inside story. Now, a month has passed. The core members of the Wang family are waiting for the results of ancestor Wang Jiyun's cultivation with the origin of gray mist. At this moment, Wang Jiyun sneered and said, "Of course it works, this is the road to eternity." His energy was slightly released. Suddenly, several god kings fell to the ground in shock. Ancestor became Yati. They were pleasantly surprised. Yati? This is just the beginning. Wang Jiyun sneered and said, "Our Wang family's goal is the entire Yang world, the entire divine domain. Now that the imperial court has disappeared, it is a good time to re-establish the imperial court and unify the world of the sun." His eyes are full of desire. Hearing this, several god kings were looking forward to it. "Xian Tian, you are the divine king of the heavenly court. In the past few days, find an opportunity to let the world stop thinking about the imperial court. Spread all kinds of news and cause chaos in God's domain. Only when the divine realm becomes chaotic, can our Wang family achieve supreme glory from the chaos." Hearing this, a kneeling god king immediately stood up and said, "Xian Tian obeys the order. The Wang family is just a microcosm. I belong to someone. If I say 2 updates, I will update twice. Ambitious. Good night." Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 669. Divine Domain, Yuanyang Continent. This continent is commanded by the Lin family, a powerful clan in the divine realm. At this moment, in a secret place in Yuanyang Continent, a group of experts from the Lin family are excavating an ancient battlefield. 3 years ago, the Lin family discovered this ancient battlefield, where they discovered the relics of the disaster era. Reporting to God King, some more stone corpses were found ahead. A soldier quickly ran over and spoke to a God King. This God King, named Lin Lanshan, is responsible for the excavation of this secret land. Hearing this, Lin Lanshan walked forward. Not long after, he saw a broken stone corpse in front of him, with huge pincers and pincers growing on it, but he didn't know what kind of creature it was. Lin Lanshan said, "Follow the previous method, cut off the entire piece of land where the stone corpse is located and take it away. The stone corpse itself must not be touched." He was very solemn, because those stone corpses contain the strange grey mist of the disaster era. Even just a wisp of it can easily destroy a God King level expert. Immediately, the masters of the Lin family stepped forward and carefully cut off the entire plot of land where the huge stone corpse was. This piece of land is now full of pits and has been cut into pieces. In the past 3 years, the Lin family has carried away more than 10 stone corpses. Because Lin Baniang, the ancestor of the Lin family, was trying to use these stone corpses to discover the secret to eternity. The unique 1,000-meter giant ship has also appeared, and everyone in the Lin family has carried this huge piece of land onto the big ship. After loading, the ship is about to return to the Lin family. "Huh? Who are you?" Suddenly someone exclaimed. Everyone looked around and saw an old man in grey robes appearing on top of the stone corpses carried in the giant ship. His whole body exuded a strange aura, cold and indifferent. His skin is all stone. "Bold, dare to touch the stone corpse." Do you want to die? Get off. A god from the Lin family stepped forward and grabbed the old man with his big hands. The old man glanced at him. Ah! This divine king burst open on the spot. His body seemed to have turned into stone, and even his blood turned into grey slurry. Hiss. For a moment, everyone in the Lin family was shocked. What is this? Weird, he can kill the Lord of Gods with just one glance. It's so scary. No, is he a living disaster creature? Everyone in the Lin family was terrified. Lin Lanchen was even more horrified and said, "Weird spirit? Heretic." He obviously knew more. At this moment, his heart was shaking so much that he subconsciously stepped back and said, "Run, run." He turned around and ran away, covered in cold sweat. He understood what this strange old man was. The strange creatures recorded in legends were the source of the era of disaster. This kind of thing is actually still alive. It's over, something big is going to happen, something big is going to happen. Seeing that the God King had fled, all the people in the Lin family immediately dispersed. However, the strange old man standing on the stone corpse on the huge warship just lowered his head and opened his mouth slightly. On top of the stone corpse, wisps of thin grey mist suddenly penetrated into his mouth. He feeds on grey mist. Still hungry? The old man whispered. Nearly all the grey fog corpses in this battlefield have been eaten. As he spoke, he raised his eyes and looked in the direction where Lin Lanchen and others were escaping. Well, it seems like these Shinto ants took some away. He raised his feet and immediately chased after him. Now. Lin Family Ancestral Hall. Ancestor, you have been studying grey fog for 3 years, have you gained anything? The two divine kings stood respectfully in front of an old man. Almost half of the old man's body was rotten, almost like a living death. He is the sub-emperor of the Lin family, Lin Baniang. The grey mist must lead to a higher level. Lin Baniang whispered. It's just that there is no grey mist origin left in those stone corpses. Maybe, I can only risk my life and give it a try. Hearing this, the two god kings both had ugly expressions. It's all my fault for that bitch Lin Xuanhuan back then. If she hadn't been willful and insisted on having a private life with Yun Chen, we would have been able to marry into the Samsara Emperor's family, and maybe even get a trace of the Emperor's origin. Ancestor, you don't need to take such a big risk. One of the god kings spoke. Lin Baniang shook his head and said, even if the marriage was successful in the past, I would still take this path. Because, the grey mist, may be the only way we can reach eternity. Hearing this, the two god kings couldn't help but nod. At this moment, a loud shout suddenly came from outside. Something bad is going to happen. Lin Lanchen ran away frantically, with a horrified look on his face, and said, "Sir, it's not good, there are strange living creatures walking out of that ancient battlefield." He followed us to the family. Hearing this, the faces of Lin Baniang and the two god kings in the main hall changed drastically. Or strange creatures? How can this be? At this moment, there were already shrill screams outside. No. That's the direction of the ancestral temple. Lin Baniang's expression changed, and he immediately walked out with the three god kings and rushed to the Lin family ancestral temple. I saw a strange old man standing on the 1,000-meter stairs in front of the Lin family's ancestral temple. On both sides of the strange old man, the masters of the Lin family who guarded the ancestral temple died one after another. The death conditions were very miserable, as if they had turned into petrified people. Next to Lin Baniang, God King Lin Lanchen roared. Open the clan protection formation. Blast it to death. Suddenly, the Lin family's highest level formation erupted. In the Lin family ancestral temple, tens of thousands of divine lights erupted, which were Ya Emperor level power, slashing towards the grey mist old man. However, the grey mist old man just raised his eyes coldly and looked forward, as if there was a flash of grey mist in his eyes. Boom! Those 10,000 divine lights were directly annihilated, and the majestic Lin family ancestral temple collapsed directly. The smoke and dust were rising, the gravel was flying, and the terrifying aftermath made countless masters of the Lin family vomit blood. No. Lin Lanshan, and others couldn't help but kneel on the ground. Weird creatures, this is a real weird creature, no. Lin Baniang was trembling all over, his body was like chaff, and his eyes were filled with fear. He was extremely convinced, this must be the legendary grey mist creature and strange creature from the disaster era. Terrible. He couldn't help but his legs weakened and he knelt on the ground. Yadi, can only kneel down. The huge Lin family seemed like nothing in front of this strange old man. The smoke and dust dispersed, revealing many stone corpses piled up in the Lin family ancestral temple. Those are what the Lin family has carried here from the ancient battlefield in the past 3 years. The grey fog old man walked towards the ancestral temple step by step. The entire Lin family looked at this grey mist creature with fear and awe. The grey mist creature walked into the ruins of the Lin family's ancestral temple and opened its mouth slightly. A faint grey mist immediately floated over the stone corpses collected by the Lin family. All were eaten by him. Lin Baniang and others looked even more shocked. Is this the terror of grey mist creatures? Really feeding on grey mist? The grey mist creature walked forward step by step, reaching the center of the original ancestral temple, but suddenly its expression changed. He suddenly lowered his head, looked at the ground of the Lin family ancestral temple, and said in fear, "No. No, who is hiding underground?" At this moment, the strange old man felt a great terror inexplicably, as if he was a clown who had caused trouble, as if he was involved in unimaginable cause and effect. He instantly understood that beneath the Lin family's ancestral temple, there must be a person of extremely high status, whose cause and effect was unimaginable. And now he was on top of the opponent. So, karma comes upon itself. No. The strange old man let out a shrill scream, and his body suddenly fell into pieces, and the source of the grey mist all over his body was scattered all over the ground. The remnant soul of the old man turned into black light and fled. Seeing this scene, everyone in the Lin family was shocked. What happened? Work overtime too late. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 670. Everyone in the Lin family was stunned. What happened just now? Grey mist creatures are invincible. In ancient legends, even the creators of the world fell because of them. Nowadays, the present world is even more terrifying. Sub-emperor level existences are not even qualified to let the opponent take a look. But now that weird old man has been killed? Only a wisp of soul left to escape? Unthinkable. What's going on? Lin Lanshan murmured questions. That weird old man was destroyed in his ancestral temple. Lin Lanshan also spoke in disbelief. Lin Baniang was stunned for a long time, and then suddenly stood up, looked at the ancestral temple, and said, "My Lin family's ancestral hall has a treasure that can suppress the strange old man." He suddenly became excited and immediately headed towards the ruins of the ancestral temple. When he reached the position where the strange old man was, he was suddenly startled, pointed at the ground, and said, "The portrait of the ancestor." Hearing this, Lin Lanshan and other god kings all looked at him. I saw where the strange old man was standing just now, and there was an ancient painting on the ground. This place is the ancestral hall of the Lin family, and that portrait is that of the ancestor of the Lin family. I understand. Could it be that, Could it be that the strange old man was destroyed because he trampled on the portrait of his ancestor? Lin Lanchen spoke in shock. This is my ancestor Lin Yuantu of the Lin family. According to legend, he once followed a certain emperor into the ruined and lost land. Lin Lanchen murmured and suddenly said, "It seems that the ancestor may still be in the world, and he has become an invincible existence throughout the ages. Therefore, his power of cause and effect has been reflected for eternity and spreads all over the heavens. Even this weird creature cannot trample on it." Hearing this, everyone couldn't help but nod. That's absolutely the case. Lin Yuantu, the oldest ancestor of the Lin family and the most powerful being in the history of the Lin family, once followed a certain god emperor into a broken and lost land. At this moment, the strange creature was destroyed just by trampling on his portrait. How could it not make people think about it? Lin Baniang was so excited that he knelt on the ground, walked over step by step, and picked up the portrait carefully. The ancestor shows his power. God bless the Lin family. Lin Baniang shouted. At the same time, he looked at the source of the grey mist left by the strange old man in the ruins of the ancestral temple, his eyes filled with blazing heat. The Lin family has been studying grey fog for 3 years. But nothing was found. Because ordinary grey mist cannot be cultivated at all and does not have the original power. But now, this old man has left so much behind. This is something that can be cultivated. It can be called a great opportunity. The Lin family must rise because of these origins. Put away all these sources of grey mist. Lin Baniang spoke directly. At the same time, he suddenly turned around, stepped forward, stood above the Lin family, and waved his hand. Except for his direct descendants, all non-core Lin family members were killed. Because this is a vital event, what happened today must not be spread out. Even if it is one of our own, we must kill and silence him. In addition, he even destroyed the memories of cultivators below the God King level. Then, he returned to the Lin family ancestral temple. Lin Lanchen and others have already carefully put away the source of the grey mist. Ancestor, can this really be used for cultivation? Lin Lanchen was a little scared. In the underworld, all legends about grey fog represent disaster. I can't even imagine what kind of changes will happen if I use it as the source of cultivation. If you don't enter the tiger's den, you won't catch the tiger's cubs. In the world of the sun, the divine way has come to an end. These sources of grey mist are the cornerstone for us to move towards a higher realm. Lin Baniang was very indifferent. Everyone nodded. Start rebuilding the ancestral temple. I will be in seclusion for the next period of time. He gave the order directly. Lin Lanchen and Lin Lanchen both nodded. Correct. At this time, Lin Lanchen suddenly spoke and said, Lin Xuanhuan is still locked in the dungeon of the ancestral temple and subjected to all kinds of torture. I don't know if she is still alive. As he spoke, he waved his hand. Under the Lin family's ancestral temple, a dark dungeon suddenly emerged. I saw a murderous chain of order in it, turned into a cage, and inside the cage, there was actually a middle-aged woman. The middle-aged woman was wearing a plain white dress and her hands and feet were shackled. The chains of dark rules and order penetrated her body, and her beautiful face was pale with a hint of pain. This is the prison under the Lin family's ancestral temple, specially used to punish those who have committed serious crimes. In the prison, there is a venerable level chain of order, which will make the tortured feel the pain of being cut into pieces without dying. At the same time, the prison is placed under the ancestral temple to make the criminals shameless in facing their ancestors. Huh? Lin Xuanhuan, you are still alive. Lin Lanchen was a little surprised when he saw the woman and spoke indifferently. The woman slowly opened her eyes, looked at Lin Lanchen and others, opened her mouth with difficulty, and said, Uncle. Lin Lanchen said coldly. You have no right to call me uncle. After all these years, have you realized your sin? Do you regret what you did back then? Do you regret having a private life with Yun Chen? The woman shook her head and said, Sin? Yun Chen and I truly love each other, so what's the crime? Regret? I have no regrets in this life. Hearing this, Lin Lanchen's face suddenly became extremely angry. How dare you not plead guilty? He was filled with anger, and with a wave of his hand, a terrifying order chain was slapped on Lin Xuanhuan in the cage of order. Lin Xuanhuan's face was immediately filled with pain, but she did not show any weakness at all. You have suffered in this dungeon for more than 20 years and you still haven't woken up. Lin Lanchen's face was filled with indifference and he said, Do you know that as long as you admit your guilt and admit your mistakes, you will still have a future? Back then, the clan wanted to kill you to apologize to the Samsara Emperor's clan. It was the Emperor's son who interceded, and the clan allowed you to live. The Emperor said that as long as you realize your mistake, he will still be willing to wait for you. 20 years, how long do you want to wait until the clan becomes the middle school? More than 20 years ago, the Lin family entered into a marriage contract with the Samsara Emperor clan of the Divine Realm. Lin Xuanhuan, the saint daughter of the Lin family, will marry the son of the Reincarnation Emperor. The entire Lin family is looking forward to this marriage, hoping that this marriage will bring the Lin family to a higher level. However, Lin Xuanhuan fell in love with someone she shouldn't love. The genius of the Divine Realm, Yun Chen. She even ran away from the family and eloped with Yun Chen. Although Yun Chen can be called an outstanding person, how can he compare with the imperial clan? In the end, Lin Xuanhuan and Yun Chen were found by the Lin family. The Lin family took action to kill Yun Chen. At that time, Lin Xuanhuan threatened her with her life. The Lin family had to spare Yun Chen's life, but they allowed him to leave the Divine Realm and go to the lower world. I won't marry anyone. There was blood at the corner of Lin Xuanhuan's mouth, but she smiled stubbornly and said, I am Yun Chen's wife, I will never have a second husband in this life. Hearing this, Lin Lanchen was silent for a long time, and then suddenly said, What if Yun Chen is already dead? Hearing this, Lin Xuanhuan was startled. Back then, the clan let him go to the lower realm. Lin Lanchen said coldly. He did go to the lower world, but I destroyed his origin with my own hands. If he goes to the lower realm, he will die in a few years. Now, he may have become a pile of bones. Does it make sense for you to miss a pile of bones? Back then, Lin Xuanhuan and Yun Chen had a deep love for each other. They did not dare to kill Yun Chen directly for fear that Lin Xuanhuan would die for their love. In that case, who would marry the Samsara Emperor? Now, 20 years later, it's time to tell Lin Xuanhuan the truth. Hearing this, Lin Xuanhuan was suddenly stunned. She looked at Lin Lanchen, tears welling up in her beautiful eyes for a moment. Yun Chen is dead? No. No. She remembered 20 years ago. That day, her and Yun Chen's beautiful life was shattered. They were hunted by the Lin family. They were cornered and Yun Chen almost died. She threatened to die, and even swore that she was willing to go to the Lin family's prison, be trampled by the Lin clan, and tortured by the chain of order, just to save Yun Chen's life. Yun Chen was seriously injured and left. For so many years, even though she was in jail and suffered a lot of pain, she always had light in her heart. She knew that the two people she loved most were both alive. Yun Chen. And her and Yun Chen's daughter. If Yun Chen dies. No. Lin Xuanhuan lost her voice and spoke. At this moment, she burst into tears and said. You are treacherous. Yun Chen won't die, won't die. Lin Lanchen was extremely indifferent and said. I forgot to tell you that in order to ensure that he dies smoothly after going down to the next world, we also asked Dao Wei, a member of the Tianji divine calculation lineage, to calculate Yun Chen's fate. He can't survive. There isn't much time left for you. I can't think clearly, the clan will eventually execute you. After saying that, they left indifferently. In the cage of order, Lin Xuanhuan's cold tears streaked down her face. No. Yunchen, you can't die. Chen, if something happens to you, what will 11er do? How can she survive alone in the lower world? Her heart was broken and she was dying of grief. And at this moment, God's domain, somewhere in a vast and mysterious place, a strange old man sat cross-legged in front of a hut. He closed his eyes to rest, his face was grey and confused, and he seemed to be in a very bad state. No. No. Why do I feel uneasy? It seems like something big has happened. The strange old man murmured. Did the clone I sent out encounter something terrible outside? It shouldn't be. In this small world, I can't afford to offend that dog after leaving the giant bronze door. What else can I be afraid of? He wondered. Suddenly, in this world, a black light flew over. The black light fell in front of him and turned into a figure exactly like him. I was contaminated by the great cause and effect, and my origin was completely destroyed. This soul light spoke directly and told what happened at the Lin family ancestral temple. Hearing this, the strange old man sitting cross-legged was suddenly startled and lost his voice. You just walked up to the other person's head, and were destroyed. What kind of person is this existence? How high is your status? He murmured. It turns out that this is the reason why I feel uneasy. It's okay, I lost a clone and lost some of my origin, it's not a big problem, it's not a big problem. The weird old man comforted himself. However, at this moment, another old man exactly like him appeared in the secret realm, running towards him crazily. Something big happened. Something big happened. The clone shouted, ran over and said. Main body, I met that big black dog, and it almost killed me. It was accompanied by a group of young people whose karma defies heaven. I can't afford to mess with any of them. This clone is clearly the one in the ancestral land of the six-eared macaque clan. At this moment, he told everything that happened to the six-eared macaque clan. What, a fire stick makes you scared just by looking at it? A group of young people, but they have a cause and effect that you don't even dare to take a closer look at? Can the cause and effect be even compared to that of the dog behind the giant bronze door? The old man with the strange body became a little frightened and said. Something's wrong, this is simply wrong. When did there come so many untouchable causes and effects in such a small world? I came here to take refuge, but now I feel like I've fallen into a trap. The old man doubts himself very much. When he first came to this small world, he met a big black dog behind the giant bronze door, which bit him off even one of his eggs. However, he did not dare to be cruel because the dog was too powerful and he felt that he could not afford to offend him. Therefore, no matter how aggrieved he was, he would only beat the opponent a few times. Now, in this small world, there are so many untouchables. At this moment, he felt like he wanted to leave. Damn it, no matter how chaotic the chaos ancestral realm is, it doesn't feel as scary as here. No, the strange grey fog has caused chaos. The strange old man's expression suddenly changed. Immediately, the two clones quickly returned to his body. He tried his best to suppress the grey fog in his body. There were actually beads of sweat flowing out of his stony skin, and his expression was extremely ferocious. In the end, the grey fog became more and more chaotic. I can't hold it anymore, help. The old man turned around and looked for help in the small hut. I saw a woman in white pushing the door out of the small hut. She gently bit her finger and wrote 4 words on the old man's head. Suddenly, the old man's breath gradually calmed down. He was breathing heavily and his whole body was exhausted. Miss Snow, I'm really curious, what is the origin of the words Wu Er Xian Ting you wrote? It's actually able to suppress the grey fog in my body. He spoke with a complicated look on his face. The big black dog behind the giant bronze door cannot be offended. Under the ground of a small Lin family ancestral temple, there is also a cause and effect that cannot be touched. There are also a group of scary young people. Even the woman in white in front of her was shrouded in mist. She could actually suppress her own ominousness and weirdness by writing a few random words. At this moment, he deeply felt the water of this small world. It's only that deep. Worked overtime, so tired, long chapter, good night. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 671. Now. Outside the boundaries of Daegzu, 2 warships have arrived. Nanfan, Xiling, and others were on the first ship, which was slightly smaller. The second warship was huge, and there was a large area on the ship filled with all kinds of animals. Finally reached. 2 large ships landed slowly. Looking at the great ruins Hangja in front of them, everyone was a little surprised. Because, today's great ruins realm, has 2 more origins of heaven and earth. The origin of yellow. Green origin. No. This place is actually the green source everlasting realm. It's impossible. It's hard to see one in the green source eternal realm or millions of star realms, and they are all in the God's domain and the Brahma court. How could it appear here? Go Dengxi, Go Dengfeng and others were all shocked. Previously, in order to find a suitable star realm to rebuild the demonic land, they searched all the major star realms before finally finding an orange source eternal realm. That is already commendable. But now, a green source eternal realm is actually right in front of us. Beside them, Demon Emperor Goling looked even more shocked and murmured. The origin of this place is not created by the universe, but, it is generated by itself. Instead of relying on the combined power of many stars in the sky and earth, there is no need to draw the source from the star wheel galaxy, but to be born by oneself. They were all shocked. It should be noted that in the vast universe, only the central star realm where star wheels, galaxies, etc. are formed, can obtain the original power of many stars and achieve evolution. It has never been possible to transform itself, never. Could it be said that there is a powerful person hidden in this world who can change the original level of the way of heaven? He murmured that this was the only explanation. But, what level of character can do this? God Emperor level, it is not impossible to create certain cave heavens and paradises that transcend the green source eternal realm. However, it is just a paradise in the cave, at most it is like a mountain. Change the whole world? Even if all the God Emperors in the world gather together, they can't do it. It seems that the characters behind these young people are really unfathomable. The Demon Emperor murmured. It suddenly broke out in a cold sweat when it thought that before, it actually had evil intentions. Fortunately, I didn't take any action. Otherwise, I will definitely become the food now. At this moment, it was completely decided. Whoa, why not be a licking dog? It immediately turned towards the big black dog on the bow and said flatteringly. Great Emperor, I suddenly realized that you are so handsome. Standing in the sky, your grace suppresses the whole world. The years are endless, and your light shines for eternity. I have never seen such a majestic and heroic figure like yours in the entire world. Hearing this, Go Densi and others beside him were all shocked. Why did the Demon Emperor start licking again? They looked at each other. As soon as the ancestor said it, I also discovered that, Great Emperor, you are unparalleled in the world. Great Emperor, can you sign your name and put a paw print on me? Great Emperor, when I see you, I can't help but want to worship you. The 3 of them also spoke directly. Long Xuanhuan and others had complicated expressions when they heard the sudden hard licks from these dogs. The big black dog had a sly smile on its face and said, Forget it, you puppies are sensible. I will spare your lives. After saying that, it looked at Gaudensi and said, But your name is too bad. Please change your name to General Go Huishan from now on. Go Densi was startled for a moment, but then he looked filled with gratitude and said, "Thank you, Emperor, for giving me the name. Today, I feel like I have been reborn." As everyone said, the spaceship had landed in the Great Ruins realm. They headed directly to the Muling dynasty. At this moment, the Muling dynasty is holding a grand event. The sacrificial spirit of the Wood Spirit dynasty entered the realm of the God King a few days ago, and even produced grapes that matured within a few days. That grape is a rare treasure of heaven and earth, and it contains the Tao of God King Lao Vine. Therefore, the Muling dynasty held a grand meeting to celebrate this matter. Zhongzhou family and others were invited. The imperial capital was extremely lively, and a grand banquet was being held in the palace. Queen Mu Wanqing sat opposite Yun Yinshan, the head of the Yun family, to show equality between the two families. "Senior Yun, this is the fruit of the Wood clan's sacrifice to the spirits. Please have a taste of it." Mu Wanqing spoke. In the palace, someone had already served grapes. Yun Yinshan nodded and couldn't help but nodded and said, "Thank you for the fruit of the Wood clan. However, before using the results, we should jointly salute to the God Burial Wilderness." He suggested, "All of this comes from the gift of Senior Li." Hearing this, Mu Wanqing also nodded and said, "What the senior said is absolutely true." Immediately, everyone in the court was facing the direction of the God Burial Wasteland, silently saluting. Nowadays, the power of the Muling dynasty and the Yun family is soaring. Yun Yinshan is already a figure in the 8th level of the Divine King and is about to become the Divine King. Mu Wanqing also arrived at the 6th level of the Divine Lord. Others Mu Jianyun, Mu Zhenkong, Yun Qianshan, etc. have also entered the realm of Divine Kings, but their realm is slightly lower. It can be said that the Yun family and the Muling dynasty are already considered forces that cannot be underestimated in the entire Yang world. Report. At this time, a general ran over excitedly and said, "Report to Emperor Mu, outside the city gate, Nanfan, Yungzi, and others have arrived." Hearing this, Mu Wanqing, Yun Yinshan and others were overjoyed. "Come out to greet us." Mu Wanqing spoke. Immediately, she and Yun Yinshan, along with all the important officials and experts from the Yun family, rushed outside the capital. As soon as they left the city, they saw a boatload of animals. "Oh my God, what is this? A big demon rock, the power it exudes, makes me almost unable to stand. Is that the legendary strong man from the demonic dragon clan? This kind of chi, at least starts as a god king, right?" Everyone was shocked. Many people even felt a little depressed because the prey in this boat was so powerful. This is a venerable giant monster." Yun Yinshan spoke in disbelief and said, "Some of them, may even be the legendary Yati." Hearing this, Mu Wanqing, Mu Ninshan and others were all dumbfounded. Yati? What kind of existence is that? Although their strength has soared now, and they already have God King level powerhouses in charge, the Ya Emperor level is still untouchable to them. Now, he was caught and loaded into a large boat. Please be honest with me. At this time, on another boat, a big black dog shouted, "Woof!" Suddenly, this group of restless monsters all lay down and did not dare to move. Seeing this, Mu Wanqing and the others looked towards the big black dog. "Sister Nanfan, Sister Yungzi, Sister Xiling, why are you here?" Mu Wanqing stepped forward happily. "Go out and find a small animal and hunt by the way." Nanfang smiled and spoke. Hearing this, Mu Wanqing was stunned for a moment. Hunt? The Yati, the venerable, etc. of this big ship. It's actually prey. Her chest couldn't help but rise and fall, and she couldn't control herself. This style. Very Senior Li. Yun Yinshan was also in a daze. Has Senior Li's prey reached the Ya Emperor level? He was in a trance when he suddenly saw a Dalmatian dog lying next to the big black dog. He stared at it with disbelief. This is... Yun Yinshan felt a little dry in the mouth and asked with a trembling voice. That person from the legendary Tengu clan, that person. He couldn't be sure. 11 is this? Yun Yinshan asked Yun 11. Yungzi stepped forward and said. Dad, it's the demon emperor dog of the Tengu clan. He just came back from the broken and lost land a few days ago. Goling, on the other hand, was looking at the big black dog with flattering eyes. He just ignored Yun Yinshan at all, but when he heard it now, he was furious. What? This little god is actually the father of the girl in white? It suddenly trembled and became excited, stepped forward and said. Hello, I am the demon emperor dog of the Tengu clan. You can call me Goling, no, just call me Xiaoling. You are really extraordinary. When I see you, I seem to see a supreme being with unparalleled splendor, please take good care of me. Seeing this, Go Huishan, Go Dengfeng and others next to them all wanted to vomit blood. Ancestor, this is licking anytime and anywhere. Yun Yinshan was even more shocked when he heard this. He was actually the legendary demon emperor, Goling. It has returned from the broken and lost land. The demon emperor's words are serious, his words are serious, how dare I, this junior, go so far? Yun Yinshan couldn't help but speak hastily. He still had offer the dignified god emperor. When Goling heard this, he became even more panicked. He hurriedly knelt down and said. Stop calling me senior. I don't want to die, really, please. It's afraid. It won't be able to bear this kind of cause and effect. The key is that it has discovered that the big black dog it licked seems to be very afraid of Yun 11. Aren't you looking for death? When Yun Yinshan saw this, he was even more at a loss. The demon emperor level figure knelt down, he was really confused. Tisk, tisk, look how you scared this puppy. At this time, Yun Qianshan came out and said. Little spirit, don't be afraid, we are all good people. Hearing this, Demon Emperor Goling felt relieved, finally having someone he was not afraid of. Now, he is not afraid that the other party will insult it, scold it, or hit it, he is just afraid that these people will respect him. In that case, how can he continue to indulge and lick it? It just wants to save its life silently. Now, it is simply grateful to Yun Qianshan. However, just when it started to feel grateful, Yun Qianshan had already asked Yungzi questions, saying. 11 does Senior Li want to eat dog meat hot pot? The emperor level kind. It smells delicious just thinking about it. There seemed to be some light in his eyes. Goling was dumbfounded. Damn, this old man is even worse. It shivered. But Yun 11 shook his head and said. No. The big devil doesn't eat dogs. I'll bring this dog back and give it to you to raise. Hearing this, Yun Qianshan was even more surprised, and immediately said. Raising a dog. I like this. The whole 3 or 4 puppies are walked every day, how comfortable they are. When Nanfan saw this, he immediately smiled and said. Senior Yun, these dogs are a problem for you. Goling and others, since they are immortal, must be kept to increase the strength of the Yun family and the Muling dynasty. After saying that, she looked at Goling again and said coldly. Be a good dog, otherwise, you should know the consequences. When Demon Emperor Goling heard this, he nodded hurriedly, then ran to Yun Qianshan, wagging his tail, that was called intimacy. Go Huishan and others also ran over in a hurry. Suddenly, several venerable and emperor-level dogs surrounded Yun Qianshan. Yun Qianshan was overjoyed when he saw this. What is the pinnacle of life? This is called the pinnacle of life. After saying that, Nanfan looked at Lu Shushi and others again and said. Wonking, these are Senior Lu Shushi, Princess Lu Ling and others from the six-eared macaque clan. Their family has great achievements in protecting rare animals. In the future, they will practice in the imperial dynasty. Hearing this, Mu Wanqing stepped forward solemnly, saluted Lu Shushi, and said, "The imperial court will treat you all as honored guests." Lu Shushi shook his head and said, "No need to be polite. From today on, everyone will serve Senior Li." The six-eared macaque clan stayed in the Muling dynasty. "Okay, Wanqing and Senior Yun, we are going back to the village to have a banquet, let's go together." Nanfeng then spoke. Hearing this, Yun Qianshan, Yun Yinshan and others were all delighted. "Okay, it's time for us to pay our respects to Senior Li." Yun Yinshan spoke immediately. "By the way, I specially prepared some grapes for Senior Li." Mu Wanqing also spoke. She was a little embarrassed and said, "Although it may not be worth mentioning to Senior Li, but it is also part of our thoughts." Nanfan smiled when he heard this and said, "Don't worry, Master will definitely like it. Let's go." Immediately, everyone was on their way.